Hello and welcome. In this session, we are going to discuss about entrepreneurial motivation. Precisely, we are going to answer some of the questions like the following. What are the techno-economic contributions of entrepreneur? Why should one aspire to become an entrepreneur? The roles of entrepreneurs in the progression of our civilization, entrepreneurship and GDP growth. Is there a link? What makes present situation perfect for startups? Is it the right time to start a startup? Can we compete with global companies like the Chinese manufacturers, etc.? So, before we dive deep into the answering the questions, let us define some of the terms, particularly entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurs are those who can identify a pain in the society. They can evolve a solution that can solve the problem or alleviate the pain in a better way compared to competitors. They can put up infrastructure, team, and then make the product or service to solve the problem in a competitive and profitable way. They are entrepreneur, and entrepreneurship businesses are those which are innovation driven, because they have to bring about the solution. They are vision driven, and that their business is scalable, and they achieve or they target to achieve very high growth. So, these are entrepreneurial ventures. Value proposition will be featuring several times in our discussion. So, let us define that at the beginning. Value proposition means it is a bundle of features of a product or service that makes it superior compared to competitors. It defines why customers will buy our product rather than going to the competitors or buying competitors' product, meaning we give superior value to customers' money. We need to understand GDP, because one of the main motivation for becoming entrepreneur is GDP growth or per capita GDP or creating wealth for the nation. So, what is GDP? Gross domestic product, that is the market value of all the finished goods and services in a country, within the boundary of the country, in a particular time, particularly in a year. The per capita GDP means you divide GDP by the number of citizens or population. Velocity of money needs to be understood, because entrepreneurs actually create or facilitate higher velocity of money, and that generates higher value for the nation. What is that? Suppose you hire a rickshaw, reach to your destination and give 100 rupees to the rickshaw puller. He goes to the maybe a stationery shop or grocery shop, purchase his daily needs, and the grocer at the end of the week or something, in order to replenish his or her stock, send that 100 rupees along with other money to the distributor. In the process, the money changes hands, and it keeps creating value for everybody. Now, on the flip side, suppose you keep that 100 rupees in your pocket and forget about it. So, money remains dormant. So, that does not create value for anybody. Whereas, this grocer sends the money to distributor to the manufacturer. So, manufacturer gets that 100 rupees, creates more, and then in the process there is incremental value to the GDP, and that is why increasing velocity of money is very important, and that is where entrepreneurs come into play. They build new product, superior services, and instead of keeping your money in the bank, you want to buy these new products. Suppose you have a cell phone and there is no new phone for next 5 years. So, you will not be interested to buy another phone. Whereas, because there are entrepreneurs, they are trying to build new products with superior features. So, you are always in the lookout as to what is the new phone, you want to buy a new one. So, rather than keeping the money somewhere, you even borrow money to buy. So, you consume. In the process, you create, means ultimately the entrepreneurs create value for the nation. What is value of money? There are two connotations. One is time value of money, that means 100 rupees today is more valuable than 100 rupees in the next year. So, that is not the meaning that we are interested in this context. We are interested in the value of money, or say value of rupee in the global context. A dollar can be bought using maybe 75 rupees today. So, money value, rupee value is 74 to a dollar. This value was much higher compared to, means higher maybe say 30 years back, maybe 1990, perhaps it was something like 20 rupees to a dollar. In 80s, perhaps it was maybe 15 rupees to a dollar, when Chinese yuan also was 15 yuans to a dollar. Whereas now Chinese yuan is 7 yuan to a dollar and ours is 74 rupees to a dollar, meaning that our money has reduced or lost value, depreciated. Why this topic here? Because entrepreneurs brings in dollar through export. In the process, the demand for rupee increases. When a dollar comes here, that dollars is converted into rupee. So, demand for rupee increases and rupee value goes up. Imagine that you have 7.5 lakh rupees in the bank. So, you have actually $10,000. Now, you wake up early in the morning in some fine morning and then you see that rupee has appreciated to maybe 7.5 rupees to a dollar. So, your 1 lakh rupees that was there in the bank without you doing anything has become $1 lakh. You can buy so much with $1 lakh in the global market. You can go to US and perhaps settle. So, wealth of individual, wealth of the nation, wealth, or you convert the GDP into dollar, everything together, value of money matters, and entrepreneurs actually brings in foreign exchange and rupee appreciates through that. So, when we define entrepreneur, there are several other entrepreneurs definition actually is wider in scope than what I said. This is another definition of not definition, some characteristic features of entrepreneurs. It is called founders mentality. There are 3 elements of founders mentality. One is insurgent's mission, meaning that an entrepreneur have a vision, and to achieve that vision they set a small mission, short term mission, and they will never rest, or they will do anything and everything to achieve that mission. They will not compromise on their mission. So, like an insurgent, they are dedicated to their mission. They have owner's mindset, meaning that if they do something, they take the responsibility, and then for every action they take the responsibility, take the blame, and not only founder, but even employees can have founders mentality. So, if an employee is thinking that this is my company and anything I do, if there is negative implication, then I am the loser. So, they take ownership of, that is called ownership mindset, and they are obsessed about the front line, meaning that if there is a customer sitting on the other side of the desk, they will do everything to convert a prospect into a customer. They will definitely sell, or in other words, if they have a proposition, they will make sure that that proposition is accepted by the other party. So, this 3 defines a founder, that is the founder's mentality. Entrepreneurs identify opportunities in adversities. That is actually the discussion of today. If there is no adversities, but there is an opportunity, just imagine that suddenly there are information that in a river there are gold beads, and people are diving to find those beads and becoming rich. And you will see that within no time there will be thousands of people diving inside and then bringing those beads, and in no time that opportunity will vanish, because there is no risk, just dive in the water and get rich. But suppose the current in the river is so harsh, or maybe it is so deep that many people will die if they really dive inside the river. You will find that people are not diving. They will think that there is a curse or something. They will be hesitant to take that opportunity. So, wherever there is risk, there is adversities, ordinary people will not really take the plunge and grab the opportunity. Whereas an entrepreneur will look at it, they will calculate the risk and they will estimate whether with this risk I will be successful in achieving whatever I would like to achieve. So, they calculate the risk. If they see that this risk is too much for the advantages that are to be gained, they will not take the plunge. Whereas, if they see that they are capable of working around or maybe develop new technology to alleviate the risk and then finally reap the benefit, they will take the plunge. So, that is the difference between an entrepreneur and an ordinary a non-entrepreneur. A non-entrepreneur will look at only the adversities. They will not even imagine that it is always possible to find a solution to alleviate the risk and get the advantage or reap the benefit. So, while talking about adversities, what is the adversities today that gives so much of opportunities to create new ventures? In fact, today is the greatest of crisis that humankind is facing. Perhaps in the recorded history, this kind of a crisis had never been there. Like we have COVID-19 pandemics, there is growing inequalities that makes the society untenable. Then we have lost diversity and nature is overburdened. Nature can no longer, biosphere can no longer take the load of pollutants and whatever we are throwing at the nature, and that is how the climate also is changing and threatening our very own existence. And remember, whenever there is existential crisis, people become more creative. The proof is that majority of the technologies that we are proud of, be it communication, be it entertainment, be it transportation, aviation, all of it emerged from the military. Why? Because military always are facing a situation of existence. It is an existential crisis that drove them to be creative and innovate new solution, and eventually that solution comes to the society, that becomes part of our daily life. Our present situation is similarly an existential crisis, and that is why many companies are quickly coming out with vaccine or drugs for treatment of COVID patients, which normally takes 5 to 6 years. Now, it is being accelerated into maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 months. Earlier, it used to take billions of dollars to really come out with a new molecule to treat a particular disease. Now, it is being done with less money, less time, and even testing is done so quickly. That actually throwing a lot of opportunities, and that is what is today's discussion. So, that should motivate us to take up entrepreneurship and solve this problem, solve this existential crisis. And look at what Winston Churchill has said. It is not actually him who said, but normally recorded history says that, means is connected with him. Never let a good crisis go to waste, meaning that a good crisis actually comes with a lot of opportunities. So, look at the opportunities, solve the crisis, that will translate into opportunities. So, whenever there is a crisis, should not just get afraid and feel depressed. Other than that, just look what you can do with to get rid of the crisis. Now, I am actually still into the definition part. So, here is the bookies definition. I will not read them. You can pause the video and then look at it later. I will just move forward. But when you will be reading the definitions either here or elsewhere, one question is going to crop up in your mind is which ones are entrepreneurial ventures and which are not. So, as I said, entrepreneurial ventures are vision driven, innovation driven, they are scalable, their business model is scalable, and they target high growth. These are characteristic features of entrepreneurial venture. So, in that sense, even a grocer can become an entrepreneurial venture, provided it fulfills these characteristic features. Now, the flip side, say just ordinary traditional grocery shops, it is a me too kind of business, meaning that they buy things from one place and sell at another place like many other grocers. Those are known as small business. Then there are corporate entrepreneurship or intrapreneurship. These are enterprise within an enterprise. It involves a huge discussion. Suffice it to say, with an example, say you join Google. Google is going to give you 20% of your time to pursue something of your own. Suppose you are a creative person. So, you come up with creative ideas, you have 20, so out of 10 hours or say 8 hours, you will be given something like 2 hours time, when you can sit in a separate chamber, and Google will give you everything that is necessary to translate your ideas into a prototype. They will give you money, mentorship, infrastructure, anything that you need to pursue these initiatives. So, if you are creative, if you have entrepreneurial vision, meaning how you can translate into an idea into something that is marketable, there for which there will be customers, what customers will like to buy, you can create something fantastic. But then if that is not what market is demanding, that is what customers are not interested in, then you have no business. So, you need to understand market, you need to understand costing and finance, and then only you will be able to decide whether whatever you are going to create, that is going to be translated into a tenable business, a profitable business. Now, at the end, when you are ready with the product, Google is going to ask you, what do you want to do with this? Do you want to sell it to somebody? Then we may buy it. If we cannot pay you money that other people are ready to pay, then you can sell it to somebody else, or you can start a business either with our partnership, or you can start a business by yourself. We can even invest in your company. Why do they do that? Because creative minds are kind of very difficult to retain in a company, and when creative minds are free, there is no boundary for them, like there is no target that within this time you have to do this, that, etc. There is no boss, you are doing it absolutely by yourselves. It has been demonstrated that your creativity goes up, it multiplies. So, through that, companies like Google, they can develop new products in quick succession. Product development life cycle goes down, and they can retain creative talent, top talents, because if they are into a boundary, they feel suffocated and they tend to apply for other jobs, and throughout their life they will say that my job is not good, I do not have job satisfaction. Whereas, it is almost like you are running your own business, but then it requires entrepreneurial understanding, and that is why you should learn entrepreneurship. Then there are large corporate entities and cooperatives. There are social entrepreneurial ventures, for profit, not for profit, etc. We are not going to discuss all of that here. Now, in the definition we said it is innovation driven. What is innovation first of all? Innovation is application of any invention in a format that facilitates the use of the benefit by the target audience, meaning that you have invented something. Now, you put up infrastructure and make that product or service available to the people, so that they can derive the benefit and their life becomes easier. You all know that before Thomas Alva Edison, there many people filed patent for light bulb, for the filament in particular. So, there were many patents, maybe 20, 25, but then they just filed the patent and the filament glue for maybe few seconds. So, what good is that if that is not glowing for maybe hours, months and years? Thomas Alva Edison also filed patent, but then his filament was superior, that was glowing for a longer duration. But still he thought this is not going to do any good to the people, because even unless it is glowing for months, why should, how is it going to benefit the society? So, he invented a vacuum glass tube, and then within that the filament did not come into contact with oxygen. So, it did not oxidize. So, the life of the bulb has been increased. So, that became relevant. No, he did not stop there. He put up generation plant and laid the cables and make electricity available to the house, so that people can buy the bulb and take the current and then make their house lighten their house, and that is how we have lights today. So, that is what is innovation. Invention is up to the point of, say, filing a patent, and you think that you have invented something. So, that is an invention. Now, when you put it for the application for the people, that becomes innovation. Now, innovation is not just a product innovation. It is not just scientific experiment and then doing something. Innovation is in the context of entrepreneurship. Innovation is everywhere in a business, in every business process, in every transaction, in everything that you do. It may be through supply, it may be innovative supply chain, innovative transaction, innovative way of satisfying customers. There is a new jargon in this domain called new experience. Customers are empowered nowadays. So, customers wants new experience. Maybe there are 5 products. One product gives some kind of a unique experience to the customer, maybe either through some features or either packaging or whatever that is. If the customer think that this is wonderful, I never expected these features in a product and which are not there in other products, they get new experience, and then customers become loyal to the brand. So, experience is another one. So, you invent maybe different ways of giving new experience to the customer. So, innovation is highly related to entrepreneurship, and it gives entrepreneurial venture the edge over others, the competitive edge over others. And without innovation, entrepreneurship is almost like a stale word. It is not really, it does not have the punch. And look at what Joseph Schumpeter has propounded, and that perhaps explains a much wider scope of entrepreneurship. Joseph Schumpeter coined the term creative destruction. It kinds of gives a negative connotation if when you just hear the phrase for the first time, but that holds almost a whole lot of meaning into a single phrase. Creative destruction. Entrepreneurs create new product, new knowledge, new method, new business model, through which they destroy the existing ones, the existing products, the existing way of doing business. Why? How do they destroy that? Because what they create is superior. So, they destroy existing product, service and methods through superior creative new methods, new product, new service. In the process, customers are benefited, because customer gets new product with better features. So, they are excited that they are getting newer things every day. In the process, our society progress. Progression of the society is through creative destruction, and that is what entrepreneurs do. They remain ahead of technology. So, they keep on inventing newer and newer methods that gives better value to the customers, that makes customers life easier, more entertaining, and in the process they make profit for themselves. So, even though there is creative destruction, we are much happier. And if you look at the manifestation of this destruction, and you will believe that we are actually much happier with this destruction. Look at this data. 88% of Fortune 500 companies, those existed in 1955, they no longer feature in the list of 2014. Either they died natural death, or they became bankrupt, or they are merged with some other company. Most importantly, they lost relevance, significance, because customers do not want to buy whatever they produce, because other entrepreneurs are producing something which is much better, which gives more value to the customer, better experience. So, customers would like to buy products from newer companies. So, newer companies are entering into Fortune 500 and old companies are being knocked out. That is what is creative destruction. Through new creativity, old companies are being destroyed, meaning they challenge the status quo. Status quo means whatever exists at this point of time. And we are actually much better off, because we have better technology, better gadgets, better comfort, what not. Without them, we cannot think of life today, like communication, like transport. Of course, we have COVID, and our entrepreneurs are yet to find a solution. But then for every crisis, entrepreneurs always came forward, solution came in, and we all know that solutions are coming in. To appreciate this creative destruction even better, look at this. If you happen to join Facebook as an employee, they will give you a very small book called Facebook's Little Red Book. In one page, there is a quotation written, just the whole page, one line that says, if you don't create the thing that kills Facebook, someone else will. Try to think over, you will understand the meaning and understand why this has to be so important a line for a company like Facebook. The sentence says that people across the world are continuously striving to create something that is better than Facebook, and the moment they are capable of doing that, Facebook will not exist, because they will have a better product and better company compared to Facebook. So, they are going to kill Facebook. Now, if we have to remain relevant, then we have to continuously strive to build the same thing, to create the same thing before those guys, so that we can always preempt them, and we are ahead of technology, and nobody can come up with something which is superior to Facebook. So, we are always there, otherwise we are not there. And that precisely explains the existential crisis that every company is facing today. That is how Fortune 500 companies cannot feel complacent that we are Fortune 500 companies and nobody can challenge us. No. So, you understand the importance of innovation in entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is also defined as vision driven. So, let me say what is vision. Vision is a thing, is a imaginary space where you want to be, like you want to achieve something in the long run. Long run means ultimately you want to achieve that. Of course, that can always remain dynamic, but then for the time being, at the beginning when you start, you have a vision, long term vision, that you want to be like that. And why vision is so very important? Because when you want to start a company, usually it is said that a company should be started around a vision. It should not be started to lay your hands on some opportunities. Just you find an opportunity, you should not start a company. You should start a company around a vision, something like, say, you find a pain, like this COVID situation may be a pain. So, you find a pain that is bogging the society, then you decide that I can perhaps I am capable of finding a solution. So, I will strive, I will put up a team and then strive to give a solution to this group of people, so that they have a happier life. And then moving forward, I will continuously try to develop better and better product, so that this whole pain is completely alleviated. That is your vision. Why vision is so very important? Because you try to understand the pain or something that is bogging the society, and then your entire team should target the same direction. Suppose you have 5-member team, one person is entirely interested in making money and not bother about solving the problem. Likewise, if 5 people have 5 different visions, that means they are not sharing the same vision, and sharing the same vision is the hallmark of successful enterprises. So, that is why it is part of the definition, that you must try to focus on a particular vision. Normally, it says that entrepreneurs have a compelling vision and a comprehensive strategies to achieve that vision. That is why defining the vision is so very important when we talk about entrepreneurs. Now, having defined all of that is associated with entrepreneurs, it is time to talk about motivation. That is the topic of today. Motivation has 2 connotations. One is why you would like to study entrepreneurship. That is one motivation. Why to study entrepreneurship. The second motivation is why you would like to become an entrepreneur. What can be the motivation to become an entrepreneur? So, to study entrepreneurs, there may be several reasons. One may be you want to become an entrepreneur, you have decided to become an entrepreneur. So, you would like to know what all are there to know about successful entrepreneurs or unsuccessful entrepreneurs for that matter. It is more important to learn about failures, because you do not want to commit the same mistakes that people have committed. So, if you have a list of mistakes, you will be avoiding committing that. Then you may not be interested to become an entrepreneur, maybe you are a job seeker, you want your profile to be job market fit. Whatever a company is looking for, you want to project yourselves as such. Now, what is this? Means what is a job market fit? See, companies today are trying to become and remain entrepreneurial, meaning that they want to be driven by innovation, and they definitely have a vision, and they want to continuously innovate, so that they are always ahead of market, always ahead of competition, and they want to give their customers new experience, so that customers are always excited about their brand and they remain loyal, and their customer acquisition cost is less, and they have a growing and satisfied customer base. This is what is entrepreneurial ventures. Now, when they are in the marketplace to recruit their new potential employees, they expect that their employees will be entrepreneurial, meaning they understand and they have these qualities that will define, that will kind of have synergy with the company's objective to become entrepreneurial. And what is that? That is, are they a decision makers, or they are order takers? Can they take calculated risk? Can they estimate the risk? And then can they take risk and take up new projects with calculated risk, but huge benefit? Without that, the company will not make profit, company will not sustain. So, you want to know the entrepreneurial feature, characteristics and vision and knowledge, so as to make yourself ready to join this kind of organizations. And then third, if you are joining a company who are promoting corporate entrepreneurship, you would like to know entrepreneurship, so that you can perfectly fit into that atmosphere, and then you can reap benefit. If you are creative, you can create new knowledge, you will have your own liberty, your independent time, and you can create wealth for you as well as for the company. Second motivation is to become an entrepreneur. Now, why you would like to become an entrepreneur? That is the discussion moving forward. Maybe you want to become your own boss, you like autonomy, you like freedom, you want to create your personal wealth, economic value for the nation, you have a social responsibility. So, you want to create jobs and improve government's income, etc., corporate entrepreneurship. You want to accomplish something, you are highly creative, and you find that if you join a job, people will not appreciate that, or they will not empower you to exploit your creative talent. There may be many other reasons why you would like to become an entrepreneur. Now, out of all these contributions, there are some which are highly profound. Like, for example, let us move forward. If you are not familiar, this is what is called Maslow's hierarchy, hierarchy of needs, meaning a person who is at the bottom of the pyramids is a poor person. He does not have enough money to pursue something that will give him high esteem, needs basic needs, physical needs like food, like shelter, and gradually as you earn more and more, you move forward, your needs actually transform into different things. Now, suppose you are creative and you have started a new venture. Creativity gives you enormous joy. It is not just money, it gives you joy, and you feel so happy. So, it is not just basic needs, it can be at any stage of the pyramid. You make money and you feel happy. You give jobs to somebody, you feel more happy, because it gives lot of satisfaction that some people are managing their family based on the income that you are providing. You have a business that is supporting so many families. Then you feel that your business is helping government create money, you are giving income tax, you are so many other taxes like GST and all that, and your people are paying income tax also. So, eventually government is creating infrastructure, health care facilities, and many other things. So, in the process you actually help facilitate nation building. So, look at Maslow's pyramid, and you will feel that an entrepreneur actually is getting everything out of the venture. He is getting his physical needs, he has the money for his own maintenance, he has the safety, love and belongingness, esteem, self actualization, because you feel achieved. So, whatever way you look at it, starting a startup and starting a successful startup can actually help you achieve whatever you would like to achieve in your life, maybe with little bit of exaggeration. We talked about GDP growth, we talked about GDP and making people happy, nation building, so many things. Let us see what the data say. This data pertains to 2019, and I got the data from the GEDI.org, the reference is at the bottom. Look at the chart, at the graph. The y axis is Global Entrepreneurship Index or Entrepreneurship Index of a country, and x axis is per capita GDP. Our per capita GDP is near about $2,000. So, it is close to 0, because the first figure is 20,000, then 40,000, 60,000, and it goes on and on up to 80,000. We belong to almost like 0. Why? Because our entrepreneurship index is almost like there, it is below 10. So, gradually as you move forward, as countries' entrepreneurial index moves up, their per capita GDP goes up as well. It clearly indicates that there is a direct correlation between entrepreneurship index and per capita GDP, meaning that if you want to improve per capita GDP, you have to focus on creating new enterprises or or motivate your people, your citizens to become entrepreneurs and create wealth for the nation, and that will give improved quality of life of a citizen. So, x axis is quality of life index, y axis is entrepreneurship index. So, because our GDP is per capita GDP is about 2000 or our entrepreneurial index is very low, quality of our life also is low. And how we can improve? By becoming entrepreneur. So, the data clearly says that by pursuing entrepreneurship, we can bring happiness in the country. And if you want to tabulate, there are many, but I won't read them, like it generate employment, promote saving, increase consumption, stimulate demand. How it creates consumption? As I said, 30 years back, there were 2 car companies, 2 car brands. If you have crores of rupees in the bank, you had option only to buy 2 cars, Padmini Premier and Hindustan Motors, or buy imported cars. There are no other domestic brands. But now you have crore rupees, you can buy so many domestic cars. So, you will prefer to buy cars rather than keeping the money in the bank. That is how entrepreneurs create or entice people to buy, increase consumption, and they bring in new technology, so that you get latest gadgets, latest technologies to improve your life, to give comfort, whether it is air conditioner or transport or communication. In any way, entrepreneurs give you what you want, what you need. They earn foreign exchange, that is how money value goes up. All these, whatever I discussed so far, can be viewed in a single example, in a very small example. Imagine that you have something like 10 lakh rupees and you borrow another 20 lakhs from bank, and rather than joining a job, you go to a remote village far away from cities, and you realize that villagers actually after harvesting sell their produce on a distress, meaning that they are indebted, and the moment they have harvest, they immediately go to market to sell them, where there is no buyer, because everybody is a seller. All those who are buyers, they are middlemen, they are wholesalers. So, they will buy when you are at distress. So, they will buy at a price that they can command. So, farmers never get a good price. So, you decide that you want to sit in between, you want to emancipate these farmers from the shackle of this middleman. So, you put up a rice mill, so that farmers can bring their produce here and convert paddy into rice and keep this for a while, and then sell that after a month or 2 when the price is high, or they can carry their produce into a city where there are consumers. So, you put up a plant with say 30 lakh rupees of investment. Now, look at the value that you create around this small factory. You need transporters. So, there will be one guy transporting your things, maybe 1 or 2, 3. You need people to look after your operations. So, you may hire some women or men, and then you need firewood. Some people will bring wood from forest or even wherever possible from the village and then supply. Then gradually you will find that people to whom you are paying some salary on a monthly basis, they are empowered. They are not daily wage earner, they have a salary. So, they are empowered to think bigger now, like they will send they are thinking of sending the children to school. So, a graduate who is unemployed, maybe will open a school, you can even facilitate. So, village children will go to school. After a while, you will find no children are loitering around, they are all going to school, and then you need some health center for your own employees, and that will benefit the village. There will be a rickshaw puller who will ferry your people, and then villagers also will travel at times, and there will be a tea stall, a grocers, what not. In the process, you will find suddenly there are business activities booming in the village. You will transform the village. There will be electricity, because you need electricity, and now your employees can afford electricity. So, you have transformed a rural village into something very close to a small city. They have all amenities, and look at the value creation around and indirect employment and businesses that you facilitate, other than the supply input supply to you, the utilities, etc., etc. Now, this is another example. See, Reliance, they contribute 10% of indirect taxes of government. Reliance Jio alone contribute 5.65% of GDP. So, when they started, GDP grew by that percentage. And now sit back and think that there may be something like say 10 companies as of Reliance. What impact it will put to our GDP, to the quality of life, to the income of the government. A small country like South Korea perhaps has 10 such companies, maybe bigger companies. They have global companies like Samsung, like LG, what not. And being a larger country, we definitely can have much bigger companies and better brands, and we can create more wealth compared to that. This is another discussion I would like to postpone for the time being. It is becoming time to wrap up. So, look at it is just to put the whole discussion in historical perspective. Till 1770s or till 1784 or so, humankind was using only hand tools, there was no machine. But in 1784 or so, the first cotton gin was invented for manufacturing yarn, cotton yarn. Till then, it is to be done using a latai. So, they will be using a latai and make threads, and that was the only machine that was available. So, in 84, new machine was invented. Why it was invented, how it was invented, that is the story I would like to focus. You know, Indians were always superior in terms of technology. That was not technology per se, but they were enterprising. Indian artisans were expert compared to any artisans elsewhere. So, the French people and the British people used to always wonder how Indians can manufacture such wonderful cloth that is so superior compared to them. Indian businessmen were dominating the global business, and that is how Indian GDP was 33% of global GDP. So, they were striving and exploring as to how they can come up with new technology to defeat the Indian artisans, while India was under siege by the imperial countries, meaning by the empire, British Empire and all that. So, when we were suppressed, they were doing research to win over us, and that is how the entire game changed. And then industrial revolution happened, and in quick succession technologies started evolving, like say programmable logic control. So, there was assembly line, possibility of assembly line, then came robotics, now artificial intelligence, what not. We are in the fourth industrial revolution now, that is present everywhere, and that is bringing so much of technological revolution, but we could not take the advantage because mostly, okay, I think I showed this, not really. Okay, so I talked about this in 2000 years back. India contributed about 32% of global GDP, and then gradually our contribution went down, because there were so many invasion like this, several like British Empire in particularly, they sabotaged our entrepreneurial zeal. Even before that, there was a lot of damage done to our artisans, our businessmen, and then in 1400 also our contribution was not so less, it was 25%. China, India together contributed 55% of global GDP, and gradually both China, India, actually the contribution went down. What went wrong? We were under siege we lost our entrepreneurial zeal. It made us risk averse, because we were always running for our life, running for our savings, because there was no guarantee what will happen tomorrow. There was always some invasion or the other, and the British Empire was never interested in promoting entrepreneurship. They were interested to put us as a daily labor, either in agriculture or elsewhere. So, we actually lost entrepreneurial zeal. And then very importantly, there are too many myths, and we are afraid of starting a business because of the myth. We need to understand that myths are not real. There are facts which are contrary to myths. And then there are data that shows about 90% of the startup fail. Why they fail? If you understand, you will realize that you need not be afraid of failure as it is shown. I am going to discuss that now. While we were under siege, the imperial world actually focused on R&D, and then they came up with new technologies and we lost. So, what are the myths? First of all, there are many myths. Actually, there are about 20 that are discussed in books. I will mention only the important ones. Entrepreneurs are born and not made. That is the belief that we have. But look at people who became successful entrepreneur. Dhirubhai Ambani was born in a very poor family. His father was a school teacher. Ambani used to sell potato chips on the roadside. That is how he managed his family, and then he used to go to school. He could not sustain going to school. But now look at Reliance Industries, look at Jio. They raised more than 1 lakh crore rupees from foreign companies. Narayan Murthy, he was not poor person, but then he was just an employee, and suddenly he realized that he can start a company. Sunil Bharti Mittal, Sabir Bhatia of WhatsApp, they were not born as an entrepreneur in any way you look at it. Look at Steve Jobs, read about Steve Jobs, John D. Rockefeller, Andrew Carnegie. They were born and raised under abject poverty. Steve Jobs was almost begging. He used to go to local Hare Krishna temple to have a free meal. He could not continue study. He used to audit. He used to go there without a pair of shoes. He was referred to as the shoeless guy. That was the condition. They became entrepreneurs. So, obviously, the myth entrepreneurs are born is not tenable. It takes a lot of money to start a business. Absolutely no. 80% of the company when start bootstrapping, meaning that they arrange money from their own source, their savings account, their credit cards, borrowing from parents and relatives, etc., etc. So, it is not true that entrepreneurship business requires a lot of money at the beginning. Entrepreneurs are born in business families? Absolutely not. In fact, entrepreneurs, the very definition is first generation entrepreneur with no business background. Entrepreneurs are extroverts. Peter Thiel in the book 0 to 1 has demonstrated that 10 out of 11 successful enterprises were founded by introvert entrepreneurs. Should failure intimidate you? Look at the fact why companies fail, and you will realize that failure actually should not intimidate you, because these failures can be avoided. 42% of the well funded ventures fail as they manufacture and something that nobody wants to buy, because they thought they know the technology, and if they produce, people are going to buy. They did not do any validation by customers before going to the market. They built the product maybe for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and then they went to market to realize that customers do not want to buy this because they do not need this. There is a better product, or these features are not demanded. So, if you are going to start a business, if you are going to develop a product, you should onboard the customer at the very beginning. Get your idea validated first by would be customers, then build a minimum viable prototype. Minimum viable prototype is a product with features that differentiates your product from the competitors. It is a minimum product without any aesthetics. So, once you have that, show it to customers. Do they want to buy? If they say yes, go ahead. If they say no, then pivot. So, you do not spend so much money, you do not fail. You fail frequently, but you do not fail permanently. We will come to that moving forward. So, what is the remedy? Validate, go through validated learning. What is the second reason for failure? 29% of the well funded venture fail as they run out of cash. Why do they run out of cash? Because they do not plan, they do not do cash flow statement. So, they do not foresee that moving forward very soon they are going to be cash negative, they should arrange money well in advance. 23% fail due to disharmony among founders, meaning that they build a team which are not homogeneous, which do not share the same vision. So, you can always take care at the beginning to make sure that you do not fail for these 3 reasons. There are 20 reasons actually, which have been collated by CB Insight. I have the reference at the bottom of the presentation. Now, Charlie Munger once said, Charlie Munger is the best friend of Warren Buffett, great investor. Munger said, all I want to know is where am I going to die? What I am going to do is, I will never go there. So, I will never die, because I am supposed to die at some place, I never go there. So, I do not die. Figuratively speaking, if you know why people fail in a startup, you are not going to commit the same mistake again. So, you are not going to fail. And what are the great success factors? Timing is the most important factor. You may start a wonderful business, it may be before the market or it may be say late in the technology paradigm, ahead of time or after the market is saturated you enter. Bill Gross is a successful entrepreneur. He started more than 100 companies and he showed that timing is the most important. He made many unicorn. Unicorn means a company which is valued $1 billion. He successfully founded and created unicorns after unicorns, and he said timing is the most important factor for success of a business. For lack of time, I cannot give examples. Victor Hugo said, there is one thing that is more powerful than the entire army of the world, that is an idea whose time has come. But now, what is the great theory about the present time? Why the present time is so great for starting a business? Most importantly, India is now full of consumers. We have a huge middle class population, they can consume. You produce anything, you do not have to go anywhere to market, market will consume. In fact, China is selling from Alpine to aeroplane to India. Like you take a plastic container made in China. Why we can't produce that? We have consumer. If you are going to produce, there is no dearth of customer, and that is one of the greatest feature of a venture. You need customers to buy your product, profitable pricing. If we do not create that capability, then other people who are selling to our country will become richer and richer and will become poorer and poorer. At some point of time, GDP will not grow, because you cannot depend on other countries for producing that you consume. We have a demographic advantage, because we have a young population. We are rich in natural resources. There is no dearth of knowledge worker. We have so many engineers churned out every year, and the government policies are very favorable. We have a matured ecosystem of venture creating. There are so many venture capitalists, there are angel investors, there are accelerators, there are incubators. We will discuss that in the next class, but today let me just complete. Can we compete with the competitors, or is it a pipe dream? Most importantly, look at Hero Motors, Bajaj and TVS. China entered into India with products at half the price of Hero Motors, Bajaj and TVS. They could not sustain for 6 months. They had to leave India and they never came back. Not only that, in African countries, China had monopoly, where Bajaj, Hero Motors entered, China had to quit. They were nowhere, and it is the Indian companies who are dominating in majority of the places. So, if these companies can sustain in a manufacturing world, why can't we? Why can't any other? We are already global producer of pharmaceutical. It is the capital of pharmaceutical. Several Indian companies have reported early success towards possible treatment of COVID. In fact, Glenmark yesterday came up with a medicine, and government has already given permission to test it on real patient in a big way. So, we are actually playing huge role in technology domain. Many companies, global companies are there. So, there is every reason to believe that we can match competitive advantage with any country in the world. There is no reason to think that we cannot do that. And if you ask yourself, do you have the elements to successfully create and grow a venture? The answer is almost all qualities that is necessary to run a business successfully, such as leadership qualities, people skill, empathy, finance, marketing, strong peer network, tolerance to ambiguity, and anything else. Majority of them can be inculcated. You may already have some of them, you can inculcate many of them if you are interested in. Most importantly, unless you start, you will never know what you are capable of. You are actually capable of. So, start, only then you will know that you can do. Unless you do, people will not tell you that you can do. In summary, or maybe in conclusion, I am presenting some quotation by John C. Maxwell. If you are not failing, you are probably not even trying. So, you keep trying, you fail. So, if you fail, you can see that you have been trying, you are moving forward. And then finally, he says, fail early, fail often, but always fail forward. What is the meaning of that? Fail early means, if you are developing a product, do not go after the market. Try to understand whether this product is worth pursuing further or not. If you can decide, if you can understand that early, that this product is not going to take you anywhere, fail immediately, pivot, start all over again with another idea or a different technology. So, fail often, fail frequently, so that you try so many things in so short a time, but do not fail for good. Fail, gain experience, do not repeat the same mistake, and move forward. That is what is fail forward. So, always fail forward, do not fail and give up. That is what John C. Maxwell has said, wonderfully said. There are some references that you can refer. Thank you so much. I see that there are many questions. Let me try to answer them one by one. Maybe I won't be able to cover all of them. There are common questions. There are questions that have already been answered in the process of my lecture. So these questions were posed earlier. Nevertheless, this is an opportunity for me to make more clarification. So I see Premanshu has raised a question about motivation. The whole lecture was about motivation. Premanshu and Sai Venkatakrishna asked about motivating factors to why one should really think of becoming an entrepreneur rather than looking for a job. Let me put more perspective on this. See, a job can take you so far, meaning that with a job you can earn a limited salary. You may not do much for your family, extended family, for your community, or anything. This is number one. Number two, things are changing really fast. Perhaps I could not convey this during my lecture. Things are changing so fast that company remain within their own domain. They think that we have a wonderful product and people are buying, we are happy, they are going to die next day. And most importantly, things are changing so fast in the job market itself. Things are there are so much of automation, both in robotics, in drone, in delivery, in so many other features. There are so much of automation that job is going to reduce drastically. You will not find so many jobs in the market. So eventually what is going to happen is only those people who are enterprising, they will supply to these companies who are doing automation, and through that you are going to
maintain your career, you are going to maintain your salary, because job is going to shrink, job market is going to shrink. That is why it's high time that you think of becoming an entrepreneur. At least you learn, because the limited number of jobs which are going to be going to demand entrepreneurial qualities. So that is why you need to learn entrepreneurship in a big way. Someone said, is it is it important to register a company? I think it was Vishnu Patel. Is it important to register a company? Let me answer this with a different perspective. See, this is part of my next lecture actually. If you should save money as much as possible. You should not spend a single rupee if it is avoidable, because you are going to burn a lot of cash during the early stage. So you save money. Suppose you register a company today, it's going to cost you something like 35,000 rupees. Now, if you register a company, what do you gain? You may not gain anything other than telling people that you have a registered company. So you should register a company only when it is absolutely necessary. When it is absolutely necessary to register a company, when you are approaching to investor. Investor is going to ask you, are you a private limited company? Because they invest only in limited liability companies. Now, why that is the case? It's a huge discussion. Let me briefly tell you. A limited liability company has perpetual life, perpetuity, meaning that they will never die. Even if the founders die, new directors will come in and they will occupy, they own the company. So the company will not die. If it is, say, proprietorship company, the proprietor dies, the company become non-existent. So the investor lose money because there is no company. So that is why they prefer limited liability company. Number two reason why limited liability company is that their liability is limited to the money that they invest in your company. They're billionaires. They are giving you only $1 million. So if it is an unlimited liability, if it is liability of, say, unlimited measure, then you become bankrupt. Then the court will give a verdict and their personal assets will be attached. That is why they liability company. So unless you are approaching to investor, it is not advisable to register a company. I think I have answered that. Next question, how entrepreneurship help students? Also is kind of motivating factor. Number one, I have already explained. This question was posed by Mayank, I believe. Mayank has posed actually many questions. This is one of that. So I think I have already answered. Nevertheless, suppose you are in a job market. Let me just elaborate it further. Actually, this discussion can go on and on. I'll just add on more facts. Suppose you are before an interview board and you are talking and they're asking question. So suppose there is a question where you need to answer about a project, whether you should accept a project or you should reject. You should start a particular project or you should not start a project. Now, starting a project needs cost benefit and risk analysis. If it is not profitable in terms of, say, so costly and it does return you the money that you are investing, and then the risk overweigh the benefit. So unless you have the perspective about this benefit, cost, etc., you won't be able to answer this question. A little bit of entrepreneurship, your answer will be something like you own the business. So the perspective will be a global perspective. There is something called bird's eye view or helicopter view. If you have entrepreneurial perspective, you can look at a project from a top, from far away, meaning you have a holistic picture about a project. So your answer will sound like you are the CEO of the company. So you know what are the total costs, what are the implication of other sections, like if you take up the project per se in isolation may not be good, but then this project may create value for other projects, etc. So you have a holistic picture about this whole project. So your interviewer will be satisfied, will be happy to receive that kind of an answer. So that makes you a much better candidate for the post than other people. So next question is, which is the best business model? This is asked by Mayank again. Mayank, you said I have done civil engineering and what is the best business? Now, see, there is no single credible or golden answer to this question. What is a good business? There is no definition of a good business. A good business is that which is around a defined pain, a compelling pain, a pain for which people are crying for a solution. Suppose some people are crying for a solution. What can you think at this point of time that people are crying for solution? People are crying for safety. People are afraid of COVID. No, they're running for safety. They're not going out. Suppose you create some kind of a mask that ensures 100% safe to the wearer. So if you have this kind of a solution, that's the best business. Suppose people are not going out because of the fear that they will get affected. So you can deliver direct at home goods that is absolutely free of any pathogen. That's a wonderful business because people are crying for a solution. So whether you are a civil engineer or chemical engineer or you are an arts graduate, irrespective of that, you should understand a pain for which people are crying for a solution. And you think whether you can really build a solution that will satisfy, that will alleviate this pain, and customers will lap up whatever you provide. So any situation when people are crying for a solution, you have a solution, you have a wonderful business. That is the definition of the right business, the most attractive business. The deeper is the pain, the chronic is the pain, the severity of the pain, and you have a solution that is the best, better and better business proposition. Okay, let me move forward. Basic needs of entrepreneur, 85. It's Sabarish. Sabarish asked, what is the basic need of entrepreneur? Now the question actually is kind of have double meaning or maybe triple meaning. Whatever I understand, let me answer that. What is the basic needs of, if you think what are the qualities of entrepreneurs, or to become an entrepreneur, what are the qualities, then the answer is like this. I don't know if there is any other connotation. Means there may be, what is the basic needs of entrepreneur? You may think that what do they look for? Do they look for money? Do they look for satisfaction? Do they look for doing something for the society? Then my lecture actually covers all of that. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You complete everything. You earn your basic needs. You gain satisfaction because you are giving jobs to some people. You are creating wealth for the nation. And at the end, you feel satisfied because you are creating, you are giving so much you are giving back so much to the society at large. You are taking care of environment maybe. So when you die, you try to see the world a better place than what you saw when you were born. Maybe other people created damage, made damage to the world, but you as an individual, you did so much good that you feel happy that I have done my part. So that is the primary objective of entrepreneur, primary needs of the entrepreneur. From another perspective, entrepreneurs need some qualities that you can inculcate. Major qualities, if you ask me to tell, other than the lecture that I deliver, is empathy. You need to be able to empathize with everybody in the world. Empathy makes you a better individual, a better person. Suppose you are a husband, you are a father, you are a son, you are a neighbor, any of you, any of the things. If you can empathize with these people, with the people who are stakeholders in your life, you will be a better person. What is empathy? Let me define what is empathy first. Then I'll go forward. See, if somebody had an accident, broke his knee or some limbs, you say, I'm sorry to know that you met with an accident. That is just sympathy. Suppose you earlier had an accident and you know how it pains when you have an accident, how it pains when, all through the life cycle of, getting cured, all of that. Then when you see that, I understand how much pain you are feeling. You actually mean what he actually is going through. Meaning, if you are trying to sympathize with a person, or if you are trying to learn, if you're trying to understand their pain by suffering the pain itself, only then you are actually empathizing. So if you are suffering a pain of a person and trying to understand how they are feeling, then you are empathizing. So if a customer has a pain, if you look at him from outside or you read about that pain from some newspaper or something, you are sympathizing. You will never be able to define the problem, define the pain. If you cannot define a pain, you will never come up with a wonderful solution. On the contrary, you meet those people, you live with them. Only when you live with them, you get to understand what the pain actually is. Let me tell a story within a minute or two. There is a company called Rivigo, founded by Ghazal is a lady and Deepak is a man. So they two started this company. How they started, how they understood the pain, that is the story. Ghazal came from abroad. She did MBA, she did MS from abroad. So she has a wonderful career. Deepak was in McKinsey. How they realized, they heard that truck drivers are not doing jobs, meaning truck owners are not finding truck drivers. Even if they are paying money, they are not able to recruit drivers because nobody wants to be a truck driver. That's a pain of truck fleet owners. How Ghazal understood why truck drivers are not interested in getting a paid job and what will make them interested in this. That is the story. What she did, she boarded a truck and traveled with a truck driver, tried to understand what comes on the way. She found a truck driver's life is spent entirely on a truck, without going home for years, for months together, without taking a bath, without having a square meal, going to liquor shop, doing something, and then passing the night on the roadside, etc., etc. Ghazal stayed with the truck drivers for nights on and on, maybe for several weeks. And then they realized this is not the life of a human being. A human being cannot really tolerate this torture. So she defined the problem wonderfully. And then she came up with something that solved this entire problem of truck drivers. It is a relay system. A truck starts from, say, Bombay, and then a truck driver board that truck. He drives for only 200 kilometers. Then he gets down. Another truck comes from the opposite direction. She takes that truck back to Mumbai, and then he goes home. And then another driver takes over. So it's a relay system. In the process, a truck driver drives only 400 kilometers. That is about maybe 6 hours journey. He comes back home, spend quality time with their family, and their salary is more because now one truck takes only 24 hours for it to travel from Bombay to maybe Kolkata, whereas earlier it used to take 5 days. So truck owners are happy because their turnover goes up. Truck manufacturers happy because number of trucks being sold are more. Country is happy. Everybody is happy. That is what is empathizing. That is how empathy actually helps you to define a problem. Let me move forward. I actually have the habit of explaining too much and then eventually kind of end up wasting a lot of time. Arpita Ghatak wanted to know. Arpita Ghatak wanted to know, do you think entrepreneurial motivation has direct relationship with success? I'm not very sure whether I got Arpita's question right, but then if you mean that it is the passion of the entrepreneur, whether the passion of the entrepreneur that perhaps you want to mean by motivation is important for success, then the answer is an emphatic yes. If the entrepreneur is not passionate about their enterprise, they will not put effort, and there is no business at all unless you are passionate about it. Unless you are passionate about success, unless you are passionate about serving the customer, unless you have a founder's mentality, something like what I mentioned in the lecture, that you have ownership mentality, you should own whatever you are doing, you should never compromise on customers' need. Only then it will be a successful venture. You cannot really relax and have a wonderful life and forget about customer and somebody else will run your business. Your employees will run your business. That will never happen. If you have to show the path. If you show that relaxing is the order of the day, everybody will relax. Nobody will do anything. Let me move forward fast. So, certificate, I think maybe many of you will be interested about certificate. I think it is Aruneshwar MGB wanted to know why the certificate. I think at the end of the course, there will be a MCQ of 50 questions or so, and whosoever will pass 50% of the question, correctly answer 50% of the question, will be given a certificate. That is for sure. So we are in the process of creating those questions. Somebody, Yalla, I think I know this guy. I'm not very sure whether I am pronouncing your name correctly. Whether where is Yalla? It's yeah, Yalla Omkar Venkata. Let me call Venkata because that's very easy to pronounce. Venkata asked, how can we improve entrepreneurship PhD studies? I'm not sure if I got the question right, but if you, the question is like this, that whether we can have a synergy between PhD work and entrepreneurial business model. So if answer is like this, if you can really synergize your entrepreneurial business model with PhD work, that will do wonder. Meaning that you have so much of pressure from your PhD work. If you can translate that into an entrepreneurial venture, then it's a win-win for both. Your entrepreneurial venture moves forward, you will put double the effort, because on one side you want to become an entrepreneur and this is your business model, you want to see that your business model is perfect. On the other side, your PhD work wants to see that you perfect that same knowledge. So that is a wonderful proposition. One should always try to do a research that is good for the society. You do PhD work, you publish some paper and forget, nobody uses that knowledge. What good is that knowledge? On the contrary, if you can do something as part of your PhD work that actually does a small incremental value, contribute a small incremental value to the society, that is almost equivalent to a Nobel Prize. So you can feel so happy that you have brought in some new knowledge that is doing some good to the society. So Omkar actually working on some kind of a renewable energy. I know him personally. So if you really works, that does a lot of good to the environment, that is bogging our society, that is challenging our very existence. So if you can really bring that, that will be a wonderful, if you can align your research with the PhD work, will be a wonderful thing to do. Now, someone asked about aerospace. I'm not very sure where it's difficult to find. Okay, let me reply another one. Vishnu. Vishnu asked, he's a civil engineer and he has floated a course, online course, where 300 people registered, only 10 people participated, and 2 people actually paid money to learn more. And he is kind of frustrated. He's at a loss to understand what to do next. In fact, I would like to congratulate Vishnu. Vishnu, congratulations. You are on the right path. See, 2 people, if you know Arjun Malhotra, he is the co-founder of HCL Tech, and now he's a billionaire. He is an ex-IITian. In a meeting, he asked his students as to what is the most important event in a startup. He himself answered, the event when somebody brings out his wallet from pocket and makes payment in exchange for whatever you are offering. That is the greatest moment in the life of an enterprise. So you already have the greatest moment in the life of your enterprise. You have paid customer. That is the best thing to really get. Don't be disheartened, even though it is 2 out of 300. That will always be there. You will have million in terms of registration, and then just translate 2 is to 300. What becomes something is to million, and they are going to be your paid customer. What you have to do is you have to satisfy this paid customer. Then word of mouth will do the rest. This is a very small world. If one civil engineer gets value from you, he's going to talk to 100 civil engineers. And then 100 people will come back to you. They will pay, maybe 10 of them will pay. They will spread the word to another 1,000 people. So you will have a wonderful business. My best wishes to you. So don't get disheartened, even if these are 2 students. You should satisfy them. fulfill their objective. Is it the right time to start a business? Many people asked. I have to really search for their name. I wrote down the question somewhere. So I think Mayank himself asked, I have done civil engineer, basic needs is done. Let me see, I am an engineer trainer. Okay, I'm sorry that I cannot tell everybody's name, but then this question has been posed by many people. Is it the right time to start the business? Let me, you must have got the answer from my earlier discussion, the lecture material, but let me tell you this, that whenever there is a crisis, that is the right time to start a business, not whenever peace everywhere. Whenever people are happy, people do not have any unmet demand, then that is not the right time to start a business. You start a business, people will say, go to hell, I don't want your product, I am happy. But now look at the market. People are not happy. People are running for safety. People do not go to market to buy vegetables or groceries. You can make those available at the door by a telephone call. Can you start a business to supply at the door? You don't have to have a global company or a pan-India presence. Just try to serve to your locality. Then start a business. Then scale up. It's possible. So this is the right time to do any business for that matter. Whether it's supplying groceries or say you import some kind of say sanitizer in bulk, maybe maybe 100-kilo container, and then you repackage and start your own brand, because people are actually running for sanitizer and they're not getting. You approach to any medical shop, they say we are out of stock. Of course, that was the case few days back. Now maybe they are stocking, because many entrepreneurs actually took this opportunity and they are importing sanitizer and repackaging in small packages. So there are so much of opportunity, like say you can make some masks. There are technologies for making a canvas which is antiviral, meaning that the corona will not sit on those masks. There are canvases, even cotton canvases can be converted into something that will not have this, that will not allow the virus to come in. So if you get hold of that kind of a thing, in fact, I am working on that, but I have an agreement with Sun Pharmaceuticals, so we are jointly developing that. I cannot give license to another guy, but then there are many other people with this technology. So you can start manufacturing mask, and within 6 months, within 3 months, perhaps you will earn maybe in terms of lakhs, if not millions and crores. So this is the right time. I cannot elaborate because time is so short. Somebody asked, how to develop mental health. It's an involved question and not so much integrated with this topic, but nevertheless, because there is a question, let me just throw something in the ring. So how to improve mental health? The best way to improve mental health is to look inward. Try to understand yourself. Mind is the most difficult part. Mind is an enemy of human being. Mind always misguides us. So if you can really look at how the mind is actually taking you to the wrong direction. Suppose you are feeling jealous of somebody, you should ask yourself, is it going to do good to you? That is the single most important question that everybody should ask for every transaction in your life. Suppose you are looking at something and you are feeling something now, or maybe you are reacting something. You should ask yourself, is it going to do good to you? What is your gains and losses? Suppose somebody elbow you in a bus or in a train. Now you should ask yourself, if I counter, if I hit him back, is it good for me or bad for me? He has already given me an elbow. Now if I give him, he will give me 2. Then I give him 3. But at the end, who benefits? Am I a winner? Maybe I'm a winner with respect to him because I have given him 10 blows. But ultimately, I have got 9 blows. So when I go home, all that I have is 9 blows. Is it a gain? It's not. So for every transaction, whether a lady is talking to mother-in-law, she should know how can I gain happiness? By defeating her, or mother-in-law defeating the daughter-in-law? That should be the question as to what makes my happiness more. You realize when you think of this that my happiness is important, not other suffering. Everything will be straightened. Then you have a wonderful mind, you have no problem about your mental problem, your mental health will be good. Now, let me see if I can, time is kind of, many people will get bored, and I don't know whether I should continue. How to become a successful entrepreneur in healthcare sector. This was asked by Swati Pant. Okay, healthcare is the in thing as of now. Can you, there are so many things you can do. Now, just take it from me and take it from many people. Now, remote healthcare is going to be the order of the day. Can you hire some doctor and can you connect them through telephone to pay a bunch of patients so that they don't have to go to visit a chamber? They can telephone a doctor and the doctor will say, you don't need to go anywhere, do this test, and then after the test you can come. You can go to another doctor of this kind. Suppose you need a skin specialist. You connect that patient to a medicine doctor and the doctor says that you don't have to come to me, do this test and go to a nearby doctor, they will prescribe. So you say going to a doctor, sit there in a line and get contaminated and then pay a hefty sum to the doctor. He will prescribe something as well as prescribe the test. Now, you don't have to buy those medicines. You just do the test, go to a doctor. Maybe you just call a doctor and read the test report, and then medicine will be prescribed online. You can save so much. The traveling cost itself is so much. The time that you spend going to a doctor and sitting in the chamber is so much. You can actually do so much. Not just this, there are so many other opportunities. Telemedicine, referral, then maintaining patients' record. There may be plethora of other opportunities. This is a discussion of next lecture. Maybe I'll try to cover some of this in the next lecture, that is day after tomorrow. So log in day after tomorrow, we'll discuss more about it. Why there are Chinese letters printed on Glenmark tablets. Okay, this is something that that is not in my knowledge. Nevertheless, let me try to explain. See, India has become the capital of pharmaceutical. It's the pharmacy of the world. People say that pharmacy of the world. Like when people refer to China, they say that is the manufacturer of the world or the producer of the world. India is the pharmacy of the world. India supplies medicines to many countries. Now, when they prepare a pack, they prepare a kind of a bottle, so they print in many languages. So maybe some of the packets are meant for Chinese markets. Maybe at times they divert that to Indian market. There is no reason to think that Glenmark want to take shelter on Chinese brand. It's not absolutely the case. In fact, Glenmark is the first company in the world to come out with a medicine as a cure for corona. Yesterday or day before yesterday, it has been launched. That is the first drug available in the marketplace. Only 103 rupees give you the entire dose for treatment of corona if it is at early stage. If it is at late stage, this medicine may not work. But whatever that is, Glenmark, we should all feel proud of Glenmark because they are making us proud. They have come up with a drug that the world will now buy. When the world will buy this medicine, we will earn not only a brand, not only a good name for India. You know, people will say Indian drugs. That means people will view India as a developed nation. Indians are good people. Not only that, we earn foreign exchange. Our rupee value goes up. We can import good things. Our government will be strong. We can import good defense equipment. We can fight our enemies, etc., etc. So this is a good thing. Don't look at Chinese letters there. Just forget about it. It's nothing. It's a non-entity, non-issue. Innovation only the solution to entrepreneur, or we can improve existing solution or things. Innovation is not the only solution. Let me give you a story. I don't know how many people are actually listening. Ramu, are there people or I'm talking alone? Are there participants? Hello? Are there participants or am I talking alone? Okay, so let me give you a story. Say Yahoo started long time back in 1995-96 when there was no Google in the marketplace. Now Yahoo, maybe even before Yahoo, there was a search engine. The first search engine was launched by an Indian company called Lycos. Lycos has now become Brightcom. It's a listed company in Bombay Stock Exchange. Lycos was not owned by them, whatever. Then came Yahoo. They came up with a search engine. Now Yahoo was doing wonderful business, and they acquired the market because they were the only super search engine available in the marketplace. Then came Google at a time when Yahoo had dominating market presence. They had monopoly. When some company has monopoly, it's very difficult to enter into that marketplace. They have huge entry barrier for competitors. Then came Google. Google did not invent anything. Of course, they had some invention. They had a new algorithm called Backrub or something. Backrub is the engine that actually helps them to do the search. So came with a new search engine, and then they executed the same business that Yahoo executed in a better manner, better than Yahoo. Look at Yahoo landing page. It is cluttered. There are so many things on the Yahoo landing page. Landing page means the page that when you click yahoo.com, whatever you see, that is the landing page. Now you just click google.com. What do you see? Just a text box where you put your text and search. So with that is one of the difference, how you execute differently. You feel so comfortable when you come to Google because you have to search something and there is a search text box. Whereas in Yahoo, there are so many things, you get baffled. Not only that, there are many other execution strategies. You get so many things free at Google, whereas they earn money through advertisement. This whole business model is different. So they didn't innovate many things. So even better execution can give you winning edge, not just innovation. So even if I talked about innovation so much during my lecture, it is not necessarily the only thing that gives you an edge. In the next lecture, I'll be talking about what are the most important ingredients for success, including time. Timing means context. When you start a business is very important. Suppose you start manufacturing masks after a year or two, when there will be no coronavirus, you will not be successful. If some company started manufacturing masks maybe 3 months back, 2 months back, or 6 months back, they are already successful. So context is another important matter. Execution is very important. Team is very important. Suppose you have a wonderful balanced team, meaning that you have members with complementary skills. Someone is IT guy, someone is marketing, someone is finance, someone is a kind of a CEO kind of individual. So everything together makes a wonderful package that may define winning proposition. You may actually enter into a market dominated by some other people because your execution will be much better. If you have a wonderful team, you will have no dearth of ideas as well. So everything together is going to give you the winning edge. How can I start my own company? Okay, that's kind of involving. I think my answer to all of the questions subsumes the answer to your question. Now, there are too many questions. I don't know whether I'll be able to do justice by trying to answer many of them. I am pursuing my bachelor's degree. This is asked by Dhiraz, bachelor's degree, and my age is 19, but I am passionate about entrepreneurship. Is it the time to start? This is a very important question, and I would like to answer. See, there is no particular age for starting a business. Anybody can start. I am 60 plus, but I am still thinking that I'll start another business. I'm part of a business. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a faculty at IIT Kharagpur. I have a business. If you want to know what my business is, you can click www.nucleodyne.com. Nucleodyne.com. It's a Silicon Valley based company. I'm a director in that company. Get to know more about it. But still, I'm thinking to start another business. Maybe someday, very soon, I'll start another business. So there is no perfect age for starting a business. But there is a slight catch, or my recommendation is like this, that you need to understand business before starting the business. If you work somewhere for a few months, for a couple of years, you get so much knowledge that you know how to start a business. Not only how to start a business, you know how information flows, you know what customer looks for, you know how troubles will suddenly crop up and how to do troubleshooting. the statistics shows, this is actually part of my next lecture, the statistics shows that 85% of the companies who are successful are founded by people with about 5 years of experience. So if you go by data, then you will know that you really need some experience. So experience gives you so much of knowledge, a holistic view about a company, how a company works, what are the challenges they face, etc., etc. And you're better prepared. Not only that, suppose you have a business idea, you may not even know whether this business idea is tenable. But if you join a company, you will have a fair, practical reality, a practical real idea that this is the kind of a business that is going to be successful or not. Next is Bhupendra Prajapati. What should we do if we start a business where already several companies are present? This is a very good question. See, you should not normally enter into a marketplace which is dominated by some companies. It's very difficult. See, there is something called Porter's. You Google and read about this. Porter's 5 forces of competitive landscape, or 5 forces of 5 Porter's 5 forces. Just click this, Porter's 5 forces of competitive landscape. You will know that the competition comes from 5 different areas, like suppliers, like buyers, like the marketplace where there are existing businesses. They all compete for the same slice of the market. You have to snatch a small portion of the market from existing player. Unless you have superior value proposition. What is superior value proposition? That is, your product is much better compared to other products in terms of efficacy, or maybe your product is cheaper but similar to the competing products, or you are giving better satisfaction to the customer, better experience, or you are making the product available at the doorstep whereas others are not doing. Still, you can have a business proposition. You may compete, you may actually win. If you are a Me Too company, you are selling the same thing, then you may not have a winning business proposition. Let me give the example of this face mask. Suppose you are selling face mask in a small city or maybe slightly large city. Then if the local distribution network is accessible to you, maybe you will have a business proposition because people are buying it from faraway places. So why should they go faraway places? They will buy from you. So you talk to them before putting up your plant that I'm going to manufacture the same kind of mask. Will you buy it from me? The product price will be same, or maybe I'll give you 1% advantage. So maybe they will buy from you. And if they buy from you for 6 months, you will recover all the capital cost and all that. So you will have a business. So it depends on the context. There is no one single answer to this, no golden answer to this. I think you get my point. Then Gina Joss, it would be great if the PDF of this video session is available. I'll try to make this available. I'll keep that request in mind, and I'll try to make this available to all the registered listeners. The session was informative, nice presentation. Then good afternoon. Thank you so much. Thank you everybody for kind words. I see that there are many kind words, and my wholehearted thank you for all of you. In this pandemic, this is asked by Gunashakaran, R. Gunashakaran. In this pandemic period, most of the students not having laptop, desktop. So if any NPTEL course opted for, okay, I can't really help, but this video will be available all the while, so you can download any point of time, and then offline you can see them. There are many NPTEL courses. You can download the video offline and then participate. But then at some point of time, you have to have connection for writing the test, because tests are all online. You can appreciate that it's very difficult to really have the physical test for such a wide audience. Then Shiva Kumar asked, what are the quality essential for entrepreneurs? I think I have already answered. Advice to students to become entrepreneurs. I think this has already been answered. It will be repetition if I answer it again. Then Dominic, they ask about what are the roles of political governance and leadership style in view of promoting. It's a very wonderful question, actually very important question. In fact, whenever an economy blossom, it is not the government who does everything. It is the entrepreneurs who do all the legwork, everything that entrepreneurs do to create wealth. But but it is the government who creates an environment for people to feel enticed and start business. Why China is growing so fast and why China's economy is 3 times that of India? Because Chinese government offered all the benefits and advantages to entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurs from across the world actually crowded in China and put up their manufacturing plant there. So it is the government policies, it's a synergy between government policies and entrepreneurs requirement that should match. I thankfully government of India, under this pressure, under the border dispute and pandemic, government of India has come up with many favorable policies which is going to help entrepreneurs. Now is the way we were to produce double the quantity that they produce now. This offers not only benefit to the weavers, but if you can suppose think of a weaver cluster, they do not have market. What do? They buy raw material from a mahajan, from a middleman. Then they convert that into a sari or a canvas, and then they sell it to the same middleman, and they get a paltry remuneration on it as a daily wage. It is not commensurate with the quality of the sari that they produce. Whereas if they are manufacturing a sari that is valued maybe say 1,000 rupees, the margin will be something like 500 rupees, not less than 500. But the weaver gets only 100 or 50. And if they produce a sari of 200 rupees, they get 50 rupees only, not really more or less. Suppose you sit in between, you eliminate this middleman, you empower these people, you give them money to buy raw material from marketplace at wholesale rate and produce the sari, and you sell it at a very nominal margin, maybe 10% margin. 10% is not nominal margin. But if you do that, you are going to do so much to these weavers. You are going to improve their lot, meaning they will earn per sari, they will earn say 1,000 rupees sari, they are going to earn not less than 300 rupees, 400 rupees. Their income is going to be tripled, if not even more. And you earn 10%, but you are going to connect with not one weaver, you are going to connect with 1,000 to 1 lakh weavers. There are more than 10 lakh weavers in the country. So if 10 lakh weavers are supplying you sari, you are earning 10%, you are going to earn in terms of crores, not lakhs. And you are going to improve the lots of all these people. So thank you for asking this. It's very involving. You can send me a mail. We can discuss separately. You can connect with WhatsApp or maybe Facebook or some other platform. I'll be glad to keep on talking about this. In fact, I am working also on the Ambar Charkha. I have already doubled the capacity of Ambar Charkha, and maybe KVIC will be funding. I have submitted a project, and if I get the funding, I'll commercialize that machine very soon. Shogoto De, which area should we have more opportunities created after COVID era? See, this is a very involving question, pertinent question. But then again, it's a very generic question. It's very difficult to answer in short time, extempore. But what I look at is there are various things that is actually defining the opportunity canvas at this point of time. One is 5G. 5G is going to transform our life in a big way. The way we entertain ourselves, the way we communicate, the way we educate ourselves, this whole thing is going to change. I cannot imagine how it's going to change our life. It's going to be a different world altogether. 5G is going to make different. And this pandemic, then there are environmental challenges. So the way we construct our building, or we dispose our waste, etc., everything together is going to define a whole canvas of opportunities. And if you are focused on a particular, suppose you are focusing on electronics, then somebody with electronics can focus on healthcare. Somebody with electronics can focus on say something like say crypto, digital world, like say what is that, blockchain or something. So these are going to define, or say IoT based opportunities. Maybe in my next slide I'll try to focus slightly more on future opportunities or emerging opportunities. So Shogoto, just remain hooked on, meaning log in my next lecture will be more informative. I have completed my BTech in electrical. I have an idea about electrical machine. I created electricity out of a machine rotating. What is that? Not readable. Alternative. Let me just read the question. Rotating alternator motor in a unit. Machine. Please provide place to make that. My request. NPTEL. Please tell me. Good book for real-time electron. Who is this? Sorry. K Ramu. K Ramu, please contact me separately. If you do not have my email address, then it is Manoj MANOJ @SEE .iitkgp.ac.in. I cannot read here because this is now I don't have permission to read. Otherwise, I would have written Manoj MANOJ @SEE .iitkgp.ac. A for AC means air conditioner. .ac.in. You can send any mail to the organizer. They will give you my telephone number and my email address. We can connect and then we can discuss this more, because other people may not be interested to know this. This is a very specific question in a specific domain. So let us discuss offline. I want to talk about business at one place. In this idea, is this idea working? This is a wonderful idea because our biosphere has exceeded its carrying capacity. It cannot carry anymore. It is actually 150% of its maximum capacity. That is why the ecosystem cannot renew its capacity. It cannot renew. Means if it is within 100%, then it is renewable. They can renew. Now, wherever we are dumping, it is remaining dumped, and that is why we have all this coronavirus and all that, because nature is not able to alleviate those pain. Earlier nature used to overcome that. They used to convert that into something very favorable to us. Now nature cannot do that. So that is why there are reaction from the nature. We have all those SARS virus, what not, many viruses. So doing something in this direction is definitely good and wonderful. So you should continue communicating. You can communicate with me. Initially, this is Nil Kamal. Initially, to reduce the chances of failure, is there any means by way? Yeah. So you should listen to my next lecture. Lean startup is the topic of the next lecture on day after tomorrow. I am going to tell you why, what all you should do to avoid early level risk. That is called validated learning. Every stage you should onboard your customer and know whether customers are interested to this product. If they say, suppose your product has 10 features, now you put that 10 features in a minimal viable prototype. I'll define minimum viable prototype in my next lecture. Now take this minimum viable prototype MVP to a customer. Ask him, do you need this product? They will use that product and they will say that out of these 10 features, I am interested in 5 of them. Other 5 is not interesting. So remove those 5 and then again go back with some more features. Then they will say, I'm interested in 7 of these features. So gradually, you will have 10 features of a product or 12 features, 100 features in a product that every customers are willing to buy. So you reduce your risk through validated learning. Customer validate that this is a product that we are going to buy step by step. Not you don't come up with a finished product and approach to the market. In that process, you actually waste a lot of money and then you approach to the market to know that they don't like this product. Sheikh Mehboob, good session. Thank you so much. Rishabh says how to collect investment and how to plan to run the idea we have. Investment. Okay, investment is the next stage and I'm yet to cover that. But connecting with investors, there are so many portals. You can just Google search, you will find at least 1,000 angel investors, 1,000, not 1,000, maybe dozens of venture capitalists. But you do not want to connect with venture capitalists at this stage. Venture capitalist comes much after, when you have a wonderful turnover, when you have huge number of customers, etc. Only then you approach for venture capitalists. Otherwise, you go to angel. Angel gives you a small amount of money, and then you try to show performance with that small money, and then gradually when you grow big, you reduce your risk, because early stage risk is huge. So you try to reduce the risk so that other investors are interested. So gradually you approach to more angels, and finally venture capitalists. In fact, your angel will take you to the venture capitalists. You don't have to go. In fact, market will get to know that you are doing wonderful, and the market will come to you rather than investors will come to you rather than you going to the investors. What you need actually at the very early stage, it's not part of the syllabus, so I won't be able to cover. Initially, you should approach to maybe say your parents and relatives. That is called bootstrapping. Next is you can actually go for, this is called uh, you can go to public. This is called what, I forgot the name. It's called uh, I forgot. There are platforms where you can put up your business plan, and then people will look at it. It's called public sourcing or crowdsourcing. It's crowdsourcing or crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is, there are platforms where you can show your business model, business plan. Then if people are interested, people think that you're doing a wonderful business, maybe for the society, maybe for environment, maybe it does a lot of good to the society at large. Then they pitch in money, a small money, maybe 500 rupees, maybe 1,000 rupees, but you get money from a million people. So you may get money in terms of crore without really giving equity. It's not so easy, but it's not difficult. Then you approach to incubators, like IIT, like of colleges have incubators where they give money, small money, and then they provide you a space, so you don't need a lot of money to buy a space or something. They give mentoring, and they give infrastructure, utilities, etc., etc. And there are other things called accelerator. Accelerators are organization who invites application, and then if you are selected, they will gather you in a small place. They will give you a cubicle, and they give mentoring in an accelerated pace. At the end, they will connect you with investors. In the interim, they will give you some money, and then eventually they connect you with investors. It's called demo day, when you pitch before investor and get money. Time is short. Let's move forward. Then Mantu Kumar doesn't have a question. Anuj Jess, if I pronounce it correctly, for how long is an entrepreneur called an entrepreneur? Lifelong. If the founder of Google remain alive for 100 more years, they will be called entrepreneur. IBM entrepreneur actually has died. The co-founder, I forget the name. When he died, IBM became a traditional company, and it was going in the wrong direction. As long as there are original entrepreneurs driving the company, their vision always remain alive, and they do wonderful. But the moment the entrepreneur is missing, their vision is missing. So unless there are entrepreneurial vision, companies do not grow. Thankfully, IBM is now going well, but in between it was going the wrong direction. So there is no fixed rule. You remain entrepreneur as long as you are thinking innovatively, you are trying to remain ahead of competition, you are trying to satisfy your customers with whatever the customer wants. Customer is the king. You should always remember, entrepreneurs never forget this. If the customer says that your product is rubbish, that is right. You should say that, thank you for reminding me that my product is rubbish. I'll be thankful if you kindly tell me what can I do to modify my product to make it better. If they say something, do that, and you will have more satisfying customer. So I think I'll take some more questions only, then we'll call it a day. Yogesh asks how one can manage transition from salaried person to entrepreneur. Wonderful question, Yogesh. I think all the people who are listening may have the same question. How to manage this transition from being a salaried person to an entrepreneur. In fact, if you're a salaried person, you have some savings in your bank, so you can actually afford to dream big, and then start something. But then this transition is very difficult. As a student, suppose you have an idea, then you think that, okay, after working for 2 years, I will start a business. Then you work for 2 years, you become accustomed to earning salary every month. In the first day of the month, you try to dream when the next salary will come, and I'll feel so excited. If you are habituated to that, it's very difficult to break that trend. and really difficult to take the risk of starting a business. But I don't know whether there is a formula to do that. But if you really are motivated, if you understand entrepreneurship, if you can see what kind of value entrepreneurs are created, then try to motivate yourself with all of that. Unless you have a vision, let me redefine vision. I did not define vision nicely in my lecture. Vision means you want to achieve something in terms of social contribution. There is a pain that is bogging the society. There is a pain for which people are crying and nobody is listening. Or maybe people are listening, but then there is no solution. Like say COVID, like say Zika virus, there is no solution as yet. Now, if you think that I was born in this world, I want to do something for this world, what can I do? Then you identify a particular pain within your capability that I can perhaps give a solution, small solution, and do some good to this society. That is your vision. If you really have a vision, then you should go ahead. Because if you have a vision, if you are trying to execute that vision, failure will not deter you. If you want to make money for which you want to start a business, you fail in the first place, you will be disastrously failing, and you will never have the energy to fight back. Vision will help you to fight back, because it is the vision that you want to achieve, not the money. So you will arrange money from some source or the other. You will not feel tired of failure. You will try to fight back, and finally you will be successful. Within my limited capacity, I'm trying to answer Pathak, how to overcome the fear of failure with respect to entrepreneurship. I think I have answered many of them, so I'm not venturing into answering this again, because I may not be able to add more value to that. So I think you are already got some inputs from my answers to other questions. Maybe I'll try to remember and handle this in my next lecture. So Abhishek Yadav says, can you tell me how to start any business without any certificate? See, a business does not require certificate. Let me be very frank with you. See, certificates help you to some extent. Like suppose you are from IIT or some other engineering college and you are pitching before an investor. Maybe you will have some advantage. But if you are doing a business and you can show money to these investors, that look, this is how I'm going to create value for you. No certificate can win before you, provided you can show money. The investors, after the presentation by 100 guys, will ask this single question: show me the money. I don't care about anything. I don't care about your qualification, your experience, your team, your idea, your execution plan. I want to see the money. Show me the money. 3 years from now, I want to see my money multiplied by 5 times. You show him convincingly, they will be interested. And that is the way you can win. And how you're going to do that? You have to learn that through my lectures, through other lectures, through reading books. You can actually do through superior value proposition, through product market fit. These are not jargon. These are reality. Superior value proposition means your product is better than competitors. You can give better satisfaction to your customer at less cost. Customers are interested for superior value for their money. They invest 100 rupees, they incur 100 rupees of cost. They get 100 rupees of value from you. They get 90 rupees of value from somebody else. They'll come to you. You have to know how to give that value. You have to know the pain of the customer. You have to know what features the customer will appreciate. So continuously try to evolve, try to emerge newer packaging, newer features of the product, so that customers are always pleasantly surprised. Okay, at the same price, you give more surprise, pleasant surprises, customer will be there. So qualification is not going to help you. Experience is not going to help you. It is your capability to meet customer demand. Customer is everything. If you can sell human poos, human shit. There are companies who are selling human shit online. So how they're selling? They are making a value proposition. They are telling people that you can buy human shit for this purposes, for whatever purposes. And people are buying. People are buying human shit online. Why? Because somebody could make a value proposition, maybe for fun, maybe for anything, but they have a value proposition. They may not be qualified, but then they have a fun thing inbuilt into that. So it doesn't really matter. Abhishek Yadav. Then others, Sony. What entrepreneurship do in helping society? Entrepreneurship helps in all the way that society can prosper. Society can prosper in terms of wealth, in terms of health, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of all the benefits that they can think of, entrepreneurs can give. That was the theme of today's discussion. Akhil, do we need experience before a startup? I think I have already answered. Experience actually helps. Otherwise, it's very difficult to know the business processes. And if you do not know business processes, you are prone to make mistakes. You will be prone to make mistakes. So you can avoid many mistakes if you have experience. It's always better to have some experience. Then Anjarul, I took loan and started a business. It's been 1 year. I am in Mumbai and Bangalore. My brother is running it, but we're not profit, also not in loss. So unless I know the business, how can I advise? Try to appreciate. So you send me a mail with your business model. I'll try to advise as much as I can. I've been mentoring many NPTEL students. In fact, today there was a meeting with one student called Trump Healthcare. I have set up the meeting tomorrow because today I have the webinar. So you can connect with me anytime with my email address, that is manoj@swee.iitkgp.ac.in. Then can you recommend good books on entrepreneurship startup? You follow the reference that I showed at the bottom of my lecture, of today's lecture, and you follow the reference that will be there in my lecture on Wednesday. I'll put more references. Since you're interested, keeping you in mind, I'll put more references of books. I read at least 50 books to prepare my lecture. Shuprita Devi, can education field be a part of entrepreneurship? Definitely, education is now the burning field of entrepreneurship, because now everything is being learned online. Not only regular academics, you can teach people how to stitch a katha or a rumal or something. You can teach anything online. In fact, in YouTube, there are celebrities who are expert in gardening. Some celebrities are expert in showing something, some daily hacks of life. So the education is the in thing today. People want to learn. So you can have regular education. You can teach any other education for that matter. You can educate people how to improve their health, mental health. You can teach them yoga, what not. Anything you can teach in education. Santanu Maithi, how to motivate workers. Okay, I'll give you only one mantra. There are very few questions more, so let me just finish. So there is one mantra, that is, telling stories. There are two actually. One is you tell stories about your business, and the story has to be innovative. You should tell your employees or all your stakeholders what good you are doing to the society, to the pain, to the target audience. That story should be such that your workers should feel that they are doing a good job to the society. They are not just helping you as the company owner. They should know that they are actually helping the bigger picture of the nation. You can tell them that, there is a war at the border and we are manufacturing something that will give income to the government, that will reduce import, and that will, help people to boycott Chinese goods. Otherwise, if there is no product, you cannot boycott. You need a product, and that is coming from China. As long as you are not providing an alternative products, people will not boycott. So you tell your employees that, look, we are producing something that is being bought by people. Number one. Number two, you should always share wealth with your employees. You should, try to wait karo aschi. You should always try to share profit with your workers. Maybe you can give them some shares. Suppose you have 1 lakh shares of your company. So give 5 shares every year or every month. I'll take only 2 more minutes or 3 more minutes. So you share wealth with your staff, maybe through giving shares or bonus or something, so that they feel that this is my company. If the company grows, I grow. This feeling actually is a panacea of all staff grievances. If you can make them feel that this is their company, you can win any kind of adversities that employees may have in their mind. Mukti Mondal, sir, we are listing. Please carry on. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Shivam Shukla, can you please recommend some books? Same answer I have already given. So follow this lecture as well as next lecture. I'll give lot many references. There will be a separate slide for references only. Harshit, any direction for learning and understanding healthcare technology? I am a deep learning engineer. Oh, that's a wonderful thing, but offhand, I won't be able to answer this question. Healthcare is something I'll try to address at least a cursory remark in the next lecture. I'll remember this. Harshit, I'll remember this. Uttam Krishna, no question. This is the last question. Sabari Darshan, Sabari Darshan, if I'm pronouncing correctly, otherwise sorry for that. Does most of the successful entrepreneurs come from IIT, IIM? How a student from non-prestigious institution? The answer is an emphatic no. Not all IITians are entrepreneurs, neither all entrepreneurs are IITian. Secondly, this answer is going to be involving, let me elaborate the question. Maybe this is part of my second lecture, but nevertheless, see, when people from other colleges, not necessarily engineering colleges, not to talk of IITs, not IIMs, IITs, some lesser known colleges, even ordinary graduate like BSc, BCom, etc., they learn some software skill, particularly from the southern part of the country. They learn some software skills, and then they are recruited by Infosys or TCS or something. Then they migrate to US. Then they work there for a couple of years. They look around and they see that many people are successful entrepreneurs. So after maybe 5 years of working, they start building their own enterprises. Today in California or say Silicon Valley, majority companies are owned by Indians, and they're not IITians alone. They are all people from various places, various colleges. That shows two things. One, Indians are entrepreneurial, but when they are in India, they don't get that kick, that confidence that they can become an entrepreneur and start a business. Why? Because our mentality is different. Our parents tell us to be very different, to look for a government job, etc., etc. But when they are in the marketplace where everybody is trying their hands to become an entrepreneur, and many of them are successful, we become kind of enthusiastic to start a business. There are many examples. Like say, I'll give an example who has become a venture capitalist. I'm forgetting the name. Oh, she's from Hyderabad. She went to US. Then she was a software engineer, not engineer per se. She worked in software. Bani Kola is the name. And then she started a company. Then ultimately she started another. Finally, she became a billionaire. And finally, she decided that this is not my country. I'll go back to India and help India to produce more entrepreneurs. Now she's a venture capitalist and funding left and right. Bani Kola from Hyderabad. I'm most sure from Hyderabad. So there is no fact that IITians or IIM graduates are only successful entrepreneurs. Of course, if you have an IIT degree or IIM degree, people will listen to you. People will think that you have crossed that joint entrance door. So fundamentally or intrinsically, you have better elements. But that elements is about academics. Entrepreneurship is very different from academics. Not all academicians are innovative. Not all academicians are successful entrepreneurs. So anybody and everybody is empowered to dream big, and then they can execute that dream and can become successful entrepreneurs. With this, I'll thank you again, all of you, for kind words and for patient hearing. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Have a wonderful day. I look forward to meet you in the next lecture.